Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. On this channel, you can discover the new things on the world. What the special thing today I would like to show you. Now we go.
U.S. House begins Donald Trump impeachment inquiry over a call to Ukraine leader. The inquiry ensures a partisan fight in Congress and on the presidential campaign trail in coming months, energizing the most committed Republican and Democratic supporters and overshadowing the Democratic race for the nomination to face Donald Trump in the November 2020 election. Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives on Tuesday launched a formal impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump, accusing him of seeking foreign help to smear Democratic rival Joe Biden ahead of next year's election. The inquiry ensures a partisan fight in Congress and on the presidential campaign trail in coming months, energizing the most committed Republican and Democratic supporters and overshadowing the Democratic race for the nomination to face Donald Trump in the November 2020 election. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that inquiry after closed-door meeting with Democratic lawmakers, saying Donald Trump's action undermined national security and violated the U.S. Constitution. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law, said Pelosi, who for months had been reluctant to embrace an impeachment effort. Donald Trump fired back quickly on Twitter, calling the inquiry witch hunt garbage. Pelosi's change of heart followed report that Donald Trump had pressured Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in a July 25 phone call to investigate Biden. The Democratic presidential front-runner and his son Hunter, who had worked for a company drilling for gas in Ukraine. Donald Trump promised on Tuesday to release a transcript of his phone call. He has acknowledged he discussed Biden in the call, but denied he will help nearly $400 million in U.S. aid to Ukraine as leverage to get Zelensky to launch a probe that would damage Biden, who leads opinion polls in the Democratic presidential race. Pelosi said that 6 congressional committees currently investigating Donald Trump would continue with their probes as part of the inquiry. Those panels would work collaboratively and then decide whether the House Judiciary Committee should drop articles of impeachment, House aides said. The action of the Trump presidency revealed a dishonorable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections, Pelosi said. Congressional allies of Donald Trump accused Pelosi of playing politics with the decision. Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell called it a rush to judgment, saying it should have waited until after details of the phone call were revealed. It simply confirms that House Democrats' priority is not making life better for the American people, but their nearly 3-year-old fixation on impeachment, he said in a statement. The impeachment inquiry could eventually lead to Donald Trump's removal from office, although that would be a steep task for Democrats. Even if the Democratic-controlled House voted to impeach Trump, The Republican majority Senate would have to take the next step of removing him from office after a trial. A conviction would require a two-thirds Senate majority. It will be the first impeachment inquiry in Congress since the 1998 probe of President Bill Clinton for perjury and obstruction of justice in relation to his affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. The House voted to impeach Clinton in December 1998, but the Democratic president was acquitted 2 months later by the Senate and remained in office. The only other president to be impeached, Andrew Johnson, in 1868, was also acquitted by the Senate. U.S. stocks plunged in volatile trade on Tuesday, with the S&P 500 posting its biggest daily drop in months as investors were rattled by Pelosi's announcement. Political risk. Biden said that he would back impeachment if the president did not fully comply with congressional investigation. If we allow president to get away with shredding the Constitution, that will last forever, Biden told reporters in Wilmington in his home state of Delaware. Most Democratic presidents contenders support an impeachment inquiry, including U.S. Senators Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Amy Klobuchar. Former U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke, South Bend, Indiana, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and former U.S. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Julian Castro. But the move carries a risk of backfiring on Democrats if voters believe they are overacting, as it did on House Republicans who unexpectedly lost seats in the 1998 election after pursuing impeachment against Clinton. Donald Trump has proven particularly resilient since taking office in January 2017, withstanding repeated scandal and retaining strong support from Republicans. He promised to release a complete, fully declassified and unredacted transcript of the July 25 Ukraine call on Wednesday. Democrats are also seeking the original complaint about Donald Trump's call, filed by a whistleblower within the U.S. intelligence community, as well as information of deliberation over the Ukrainians' aid. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff said his panel was communicating with an attorney representing the whistleblower and that the individual would like to testify this week. The House had refused to hand over the whistleblower's complaint to Congress, but an administration official said late on Tuesday it was now preparing to release it by the end of the week and most likely allow the whistleblower to meet with congressional investigators. The Senate approved resolution on Tuesday calling the complaint to be submitted to the Senate and House Intelligence Committee. The House will vote on a similar resolution on Wednesday. Donald Trump said that transcript would show the Ukraine call was totally appropriate, that he had not pressured Zelensky to investigate Biden, and that there had been no quid pro quo for U.S. aid in exchange for approval. Quid pro quo is a Latin phrase meaning a favor that is exchanged for a favor. Donald Trump has produced no evidence of wrongdoing by Biden or his son. When you see the readout of the call, which I assume you see at some point, you understand. That call was perfect. It couldn't have been nicer. Donald Trump told reporters at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Donald Trump indicated there was nothing sinister about withholding the aid to Ukraine, but he wanted Europe and not just the United States to step up and provide Ukraine assistance. The money was later released by the Trump administration. Trump told reporters he had wanted the money for Ukraine frozen, but changed his mind after people called me.
Thanks for your watching this video. When you subscribe to get more new videos. And don't forget like and share my channel. Thank you and have a great time.